Hi, and welcome to Living Title IX with Betsy. That's me. We are so glad to have you back for the kickoffs to the fall semester. We know your students are back on campus, or at least getting there, and you are preparing for an epic academic year. So we have an amazing guest. Her name is Kelsey Baker, and she is an ICS teammate, one of those things. And I'm so glad to share her with you today. So, Kels, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we're going to start talking some prevention work for the fall.
Okay, great. My name is Kelsey Baker. I'm a case manager here with ICS. And prior to that, I was the Title IX coordinator at a small to mid-sized institution.
Yay. And you have come to us with a wealth of knowledge about how to do some prevention stuff on a budget, because as we're thinking about the prevention work, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, we have to spend so much money to do that, or what does that cost? And I know budgets are epically tight this year. So let's talk about some of the ways that you were able to, on a small campus, implement some small to mid, I guess, how to implement some prevention ideas or opportunities throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I know budget resources were always in question, as well as just time and people resources, because oftentimes as the boots on the ground, it's just us or maybe a very small team working with a very small budget. So that was my reality. And there were some things that we were able to plan for the year that ended up being really well received and really effective without us having to do these huge scale, expensive things. And so one of the things that I would always think through looking ahead to the year is, who are the power players on campus that I can get aligned with my vision for prevention and get on board, thinking specifically through both who are my student leaders with clout and influence in their spaces, but then who are my faculty, teachers, staff that have that cult following that students are trying to get in their class or that sort of thing. And so there's so many expensive programs and speakers out there, but often we had great success just finding who is the awesome faculty member that students love, and where does my need for prevention and their expertise intersect, and how can I kind of get them on board to speak, do a lunch, show up with me at a table, something like that throughout the year, so that it really gets that message out there. So that was one of the things I think through a lot, is just, where can I partner without having to do this really expensive outsourcing?
I love that. And so in order to make that happen, you already need to have created, or at least be on the verge of creating, some connections with others, the events that need to happen with your student life team, with faculty events, your athletics, perhaps, thinking through where you can plug in those awesome people as well. So what were the connections that you were building with different departments to make that happen as well?
Yes, that's so good. So a couple of the spaces you already mentioned that make a lot of sense here: student affairs folks trying to get on their calendar just to sit down and think and look at what are all of the big things they have coming up through the year, because we don't want to compete either and have great prevention programming planned, but it's at the same time as 5 other Greek events or big things happening on campus. So getting with those folks early on and just looking at what are your priorities, whether that's Res Life, student affairs, what are the big events, and where, again, is there that alignment where we could jump on board with some of those and be a part of it? But where can we at least start making friends by saying, hey, we don't want to compete with you in these programs. We want to know what your priorities are so that we can fill in the gaps or come alongside, things like that. And then athletics as well, figuring out, so many athletics programs have stuff that they're planning for the year for development for their athletes. So again, where can we come on and say, hey, I can help and be a part and provide this piece, whether that's in your compliance trainings at the beginning of the year or some of your more leadership development that you're doing throughout the year. We always, anytime we had events too, we would reach out specifically to our teams, our student athletes, our big clubs, ensembles, choruses, and say, hey, we want your leaders. Who are your rising leaders? Maybe we can't get the whole team there, maybe we can't get the whole ensemble there, but who are the people on the team or the group that the other students look up to? We want to save a spot for them. We want them to get this content, and then empower them to kind of bring it back to their spaces. So I don't know.
Gosh.
Question, but that
was phenomenal. I think there are two pieces that I really want to come back to. One is connecting them and bringing in those, the individuals who others are looking up to. Not only is it great for the people that they're impacting and sharing with, but it's also great for them. So if we can sell connection with Title IX or our other compliance pieces as a win for them being a part of as well, whether that's their resume or their next steps, how do we make sure that they feel like, it matters for them to be there in the future? And then you brought up making new friends, and maybe you didn't say new friends. Make new friends is my total Girl Scout, let's go back to. And but I think it is so important to make those friends on campus and not compete with them. And so sometimes I think on campuses, or at least my experience with campuses, is that we're competing for who can have the best event or who can, have the biggest impact, when instead it should be that we're all, doing it together.
Yes. And there's room. I think there's more room than people realize too. Literally one of the things that we did to get our message out there with the limited resources we had is we aligned our Teal Day sexual assault prevention programming in April with one of our Greek communities that had a color that was really close to that. And all of the, shirts and things were that color. So we'd say, hey, can you guys help host our Teal Day programming in April? And it worked for them because they want to be out in the community. They want to have some philanthropic stuff that they're doing that they can, boast. And then we want to show that there's student leaders out there that care about this message, and also that the message doesn't have to be super scary.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that takes a lot of pressure off of finding I've got to have these right resources and I've got to do all this because it has to be this heavy thing. This is totally an aside. My daughter and I were watching Monsters, Inc. the other day, and the Monsters Incorporated slogan is, "We scare because we care." And I think it just made me laugh. I think that sometimes we think we have to do that. It has to be this scary, intense messaging or students won't take it seriously. But I think sometimes when we lean into the more approachable pieces of prevention and highlighting what does it look like for us to have a positive, healthy community, what are our relationship values that we are really trying to lean into, I think we can discount how effective that work is.
Yeah, 100%. That is awesome. And I love when we can steal little tidbits from the little things that we might see in our daily lives. And that is absolutely amazing and the opposite of what we are going for. So 100% and leaning into the support pieces and the approachability pieces, the compassion, the empathy, all of those things. I think everyone has the red zone on their mind, or they should if you're heading back to campus right now. And so really getting out there in front of it over the next month to 2 months is really important. So I would just say, make sure you're seen, coordinators, compliance officers, be seen, be known. As you all know, I always say, get yourself on a billboard, but it doesn't even have to be the billboard. Let those student leaders, those employee leaders help carry some of that load for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Kelsey, thank you. This is just a little bit of encouragement for our coordinators out there, our compliance officers out there who are working so hard to make sure that their campuses are ready for these students to come back. And same goes for our K-12s. This has been a lot about higher ed, but K-12s, you all are doing the same work, and those getting out there in front and finding resources through things you already have or things you're already doing is going to be an awesome, take a lift off or take a load off of all the other things that you're spending money on this year, where money is certainly tight. So Thank you, Kelsey. We are so grateful for you. And I feel like we're going to have to talk more about prevention as we continue through the year. So my guess is you'll be back with me if that's okay.
That'd be great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone have an awesome week. Comment #mugshot. We are showing our amazing mugshot member. We are back, y'all. We are back for the academic year 2025-2026 here at Living Title IX. So excited to be back with you. Hope that everyone's had an awesome summer. But as you start this year, make sure that you remember our 3 big things to support each other, to laugh at yourself, and to celebrate the small victories, because sometimes that's what we need the most. Have an awesome week, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.